ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the Agents of Helm are back with our weekly input on all that is entertainment and high entertainment and low morals across the globe over the last 2 days. So, without further ado, we will jump right into the box office standings for the week that was July 11th through the 13th of 2014. So, at number 10, we have Jersey Boys, holding true. Number 9, a movie called Begin Again. I don't know if we've talked about this one recently. It looks like it's in its third week. I'm going to look up some information about it and get back to us to see, if there's anything interesting to talk about in there.
That's
Johanna,
the one with Keira Knightley. That's the one
Begin
with Keira
Again.
Knightley and
Is that the one with Mark Ruffalo with
yeah,
Hulk?
and Keira Knightley. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish he'd Hulk out in that movie at some point in time.
Ta.
All right, no hulking out. Keira Knightley. Okay, moving on. Number 8, Maleficent. Holding strong again with another $4 million in the box office. Angelina just keeps knocking them out the park. Number 7, Deliver Us from Evil. Number 6, the movie that Joe loved so much, Earth to Echo.
Ooh.
Number 5, How to Train Your Dragon 2. Number 4, 22 Jump Street. Number 3, Johanna's favorite movie of the year, Tammy.
How is it still there?
It pulled in $12 million this weekend. It's still.
It's a box office cockroach.
It's making some serious money. I mean, like Melissa McCarthy, there's enough money for her to roll around in. There's clearly enough money.
Oh my God.
In there. At number 2, we have Transformers: Age of Extinction pulling in with a $16 million, and at number 1, at a whopping $72.6 million. I wish I could say that with the Dr. Evil pinky to
Million trillion dollars.
$72.6 million. We have a new release, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Caesar and his chimpanzees are back in action, and they are back on our big screen for another helping of the second part of the story of how our planet, the planet Earth, went from being a planet run by humans to being a planet that was completely inhabited by apes. A couple of our agents here have seen the actual movie, and we're going to give us an in-depth review. So I will pass it over to Johanna and Joe to give their full in-depth review, spoilers included. So spoiler alert, all of you people, about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So we will use our manners here. We will go ladies first. Johanna, you're up.
Okay, I've been saying it for like the entire day today, but so good. I don't know. This was just I can't even explain it. It just had so many reactions to it. It was the same feeling I had when I saw Rise of the Planet of the Apes after the agent suggested I do that first, and I kind of had the same feeling, except this was truly a tour de force. But just the feeling of like just how real these chimps are, and how in some ways they're more interesting than the humans, and they have their own personalities. Andy Serkis. Caesar he has these, not just is he expressive, but he has like these expressions that are like his typical expressions. Like for most of the film he has this sneer, and it's kind of like this creepy sneer, but at the same time you see the hurt inside. And I think there was a lot of the dramatic. I enjoy dramatic things. For example, the fact that the chimpanzees ride horses. So there's a lot of these shots of them riding their horses across the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, cinematographically, whatever. This was
I'm going to get Caesar to review some English with you.
And I used to be an English teacher. Fail. So it was just a beautifully shot film. Andy Serkis, the other chimps, amazing. We get Maurice back, Maurice the orangutan, in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and he's a teacher now. He teaches the baby chimps about how to spell and how to do things, and as you can tell, he's my favorite. The humans are okay. Malcolm, the guy played by Jason Clarke, I mean, he's probably the most compelling one. He gets to actually, interact with the apes, and he's more of a complex character. All Kerry Russell does in this film is yell Malcolm. Like that's all she does. And at one point she treats Caesar's wife because she has a cold. The kid's the kid, blah blah blah. Gary Oldman, total waste, but it's okay because he's kind of an anti-Semite. So, but the less said, the better about Gary Oldman in this film. And then the final like 20 minutes, you guys, final 20 minutes where Koba, Caesar's right-hand man, has, spoiler alert, shot Caesar, and he thinks Caesar is dead. So he takes over the reign of all the other chimps, and they ride into the human colony and just start decimating them. And like the humans are like shooting grenade launchers at them, and the monkeys are kind of taking it, but then they're taking like the grenade launchers. Like there's this amazing scene where, sorry, I'm just so excited, where Koba takes over a tank by just fucking up these two guys in the tank, and the camera seems to be mounted on the tank itself, so the gun is spinning and you're seeing Koba fuck people up, and then he's got the tank, and then finally there's like this final piece de resistance on top of the tower that gets exploded between Koba and Caesar, and people get fucked up and things are falling off the ground, and yeah, okay, I'm good. I love this film.
So now, quick question before we get to you, Joe, Johanna. Having seen the first movie, like right before you go into this one, do you feel like, do me a favor. So compare and contrast the two, since you just saw one. Unlike a lot of people who may have seen the first one a couple of years ago when it first came out, you have more of a complex knowledge into what's going on, and you can do a better job of comparing them. So give me a quick comparison of the two in terms of not just which one is better, which one is worse, but like you said, the cinematography, some of the things that you saw, because clearly this is a different director between 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, so so just do a quick comparison and contrast of the two, if you can.
They're almost like yin-yang, except the first one was definitely a bit more balanced in terms of the human portrayal. Like, James Franco in Rise of the Planet of the Apes is like a character, He has the dad, he has the lab. I mean, progressively, his character kind of becomes one-dimensional. Like, for example, why is he never in the fucking lab, yet he's being paid by them? His relationship with his father, his relationship with Caesar, there's something there. Frida Pinto's okay. It's obvious in these films they don't give women a whole lot to do. There's that yin-yang where, but in the movie, it's in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, it's definitely more balanced. Although it's like what did they call it? I read TV tropes. I don't know if you guys have ever been on tvtropes.org. It's a collection of all the different kinds of tropes in TV and movies and all this stuff. So there's one trope called the false protagonist, which is you get introduced to someone at the beginning of the movie and you think it's from their point of view, but it's not. So that's James Franco, obviously. And in that film, it's interesting to see how Caesar kind of becomes this hero, right? And becomes this leader. In the second movie, I would say, I think they tried to make it a bit more about the humans, but it's all about the fucking chimps. It's all about the chimps, the orangutans, the gorillas. That's what it's about. They're really the ones who have personalities. For example, Blue Eyes is Caesar's son, and Koba is also an interesting character. And we get Buck and Rocket, but they don't really have a role anymore. Look at the way I'm describing them. They have, I know the names, I know the personalities, so I think they're different. For example, Rise of the Planet of the Apes is more contemplative, and it's more contemplative, it's more, there's a lot less action. I'm sorry, but that piece at the end of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that's not really an action sequence, right? It's just monkeys running around, and there isn't that sense of what's at stake. It's not very high stakes at all.
Right.
not like the second film. The end of the second film, it's like balls to the wall, all bets are off. Like, this is a fight for the human race versus the chimp race or the ape race. And so there's a lot more drama to it. I mean, for example, the humans need to build a dam in like ape territory, and if they don't have that, they're not going to have power. And so there's a lot at stake, whereas in the first film, you know, if Caesar fails, there's not a lot at stake, right? He's living in a cage. It's more of a personal struggle,
Right.
as opposed to like kind of this epic battle. And I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings, so you can imagine epic. I'm all about the epic.
Right.
Sorry that was so long. I know it was supposed
No,
to be
no, no.
quick.
That was good actually. So Joe, as far as I can obviously tell that Johanna loved the movie. Were you as
Yeah,
keen
yeah.
on it as she
Uh,
was, or do you have a different point of view?
I have a different point of view. Like, what's this movie? What's the name of this movie? Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, right?
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where's the sun set on the Planet of the Apes? That's what I'm looking for. You know, come on, who's gonna believe some apes are gonna rule the world? I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I love the movie. It was a great movie. Um, so just to touch on a few other things, you know, the reason why, well, they don't really go into a real big explanation as to what happened to the humans. They just throw it in the beginning of the film, and they say that they are wiped out by the simian flu. So the survival rate on the simian flu is what one out of every 500 humans. So the movie jumps 10 years into the future, so now we have barely any humans around. So the apes actually, it's just coincidental. The apes who have set up this city up in the woods. I don't know what the name of the woods are in San Francisco, but
It's like the Sequoia Forest
yeah,
or something.
something in the forest. They set up their own like little city there. It kind of looks like a an Ewok city. You know, like the
Oh my
Ewoks
God, you're right.
their thing
It
set up.
yeah.
It looked just like that, but better, right? So they had their little Ewok ape set up there, and they go between caves and the trees, and everything's cool. I mean, everybody's doing their job. The movie starts out with them hunting. What was that? I believe it was deer, right? Hunting deer, and
Yeah.
Caesar trying to teach his son a lesson on how to hunt and how to be careful because his son almost gets killed by a grizzly bear, which actually Koba saves his life. Um, by killing the grizzly bear. But it was a pretty cool scene. Koba comes jumping out from the air, swinging down with a spear, and then chucks it right in the back of the grizzly bear, saving what's Caesar's son's name again?
Blue Eyes.
Blue Eyes, saving Blue Eyes. So you know, then all of a sudden they come back, and they, you know, what kills me, what was pretty cool about this I guess we'll just call it the Ape City. They have like a council. So like Caesar's their leader, Maurice is like somebody on the council, Koba is Caesar's right hand man, and then there's a few other apes that are part of this council, so they help make decisions. But Caesar, he's the ultimate, he's the king. He makes the final decision on everything. And him and Maurice are just chilling out there in the cave, and they're like, "Hey, you know, we haven't seen humans in 10 winters. I mean, it's been 10 winters, and we haven't seen humans in the last 2." So they just assume that they're probably dead. And then all of a sudden, you know, right after the very next scene, um, what Malcolm, Jason Clark, and his crew show up, and the guy that plays the jerk, I forget his name, the actor's name, but I think it's Kurt Acevedo, something like that.
Kirk
You know,
Acevedo or
Kirk
Kirk.
Acevedo.
Yeah.
And, he, in fear of Abe, he shoots one. I think it was a Koba's son, or is it
Yeah, he
Rocket's
shoots
son? Yeah,
Ash.
Rocket.
Yeah, Rocket's son.
Yeah, Rocket's son Ash. He shoots him out of fear, and then you know, Jason Clark shows up, stops it. But anyway, that all leads into the humans needing to get to this dam in order to turn the power on. Now Koba's like, no, don't let them do it. As soon as they get power, they're gonna try to kill us. And so Koba does his own thing. He like gets his own little search party together behind Caesar's back, goes to check out what the humans are doing, and finds out that they have amassed all these weapons from what was it, like an old army,
I
what do you
think
call
so.
it? Yeah, old army. What do you call those?
Like an armory, maybe.
Yeah, armory,
Yeah.
something like that. It was like an armory. This place, they had like a huge warehouse full of nothing but weapons. So, Koba returns back. He wants to tell Caesar, but he sees Caesar's loving the humans since he worked out this truce with them, and let them put the dam, turn the power on in the dam, and turn the dam on, restoring power to the city. And so then this thing also has ape assassinations. I mean, you got apes plotting to assassinate other apes.
It's very
It was,
Julius Caesar. It's
yes,
what happened, but except that Koba is like Brutus, et tu, Brute, and he's like Mark Antony, because afterwards he's
yeah,
like, "We're doing this for Caesar."
yeah.
Which, no.
But it was like a JFK assassination. He's hiding out in the bush. He's got his gun.
It's the grassy knoll.
Yeah, he's hiding behind the leaves. And Caesar sees him out of the corner of his eye right before he shoots him. Uh, he gets shot, and then Caesar supposedly falls to his death. And then Koba takes over. He goes, "We got to go kill the humans for Caesar! Yay! Get on your horses and get your spears." So yeah, from then on, then mayhem breaks loose. They go attack the humans in the city, and that's when all the real action starts. I mean, we're talking like it's at least a good hour and change before all the real action starts to occur in the film. But it doesn't feel that way. I only know that because I checked out of curiosity. I just wanted to know how long it took. But other than that, the movie was really good. Really good. Definitely recommended. It's probably the best movie so far to come out this summer.
By far.
Yeah.
So I have
It's right
actually
next to X-Men: Days of Future Past, which was really good as well.
okay.
It was alright.
Well, I'll
Those two are the
see.
best two.
I'll
They are.
definitely be seeing this soon, and I'll be able to let you know. Well, as you know, I'm not. I enjoyed Days of Future Past, but there were issues I had with it. I may or may not have those same types of issues with this, but so I'll reserve my whether I agree with you as far as that's concerned, Joe, until I see it. But I do have an actual question. So, how many years had passed since the first movie into the second film?
I
10,
think, yeah.
because
Okay,
he
so
said 10 winters. 10 winters have passed, so
okay,
10
so
years.
it's been 10 years, and so my main question is, if the apes. So there's no indication that any other animals have been affected. So there's other I don't know if we see them, but are there other animals or at least animal forms living in the forests and the jungles and things of that sort? I guess
What do
it's
you mean?
safe to assume that,
Yeah,
right?
because the simian flu I think only affects humans.
Right.
Okay. Okay,
Uh,
so my question then is for the surviving humans, because they needed to build this dam in order to have power, and I guess the power um, ran all the things that they were trying to use in their little makeshift cities. Um, so the issue I have with this is that you would think after 10 years of dealing with this situation that they would have come up with a method to either even learn from the apes in the sense of how to survive off the land rather than having to utilize this form of needing power in order to survive. I feel like in a situation where the world goes to shit, and we don't have the opportunity to turn on lights or to listen to a radio or whatever the hell you would do in order to try to get your information, that it'd probably be best to try to learn from those species or those animals that, especially freaking smart ass apes that could teach you stuff. Learn from them
Yeah.
and
well,
have them help
The,
you, become more self-sufficient rather
the,
than trying to use them or take anything from them or something along those lines and try to like maintain some level of normalcy for yourself, right?
yeah,
well,
but they didn't. Well, yeah, I was gonna say they didn't have any contact with the apes. So like when this movie starts
Hmm.
and the apes run into Malcolm, Jason Clark's character,
Hmm.
it's like Jason Clark has no idea that there's such thing as talking apes. He has no clue.
yeah.
Okay.
Nobody knows that they're out there. They're just the it's just the how many apes were impacted. That he was able to give that what's that the drug to make them
Hmm.
smart. They're all living in the forest, and they stay away. They stay away from the city. They don't trust humans, except
Okay.
for
Yeah,
Caesar. They pretty much don't trust humans.
and
So,
also, in the movie, it's made clear that the prejudice goes both ways. That humans assume that the flu originated in the apes, like they don't understand, and I think Carrie Russell tries to explain it to all of them, and they're like, ah. Um,
Oh, she's
the,
just a woman.
exactly the fact that the
She knows
fact
nothing.
the fact that the virus was injected into the apes. The virus
Uh-huh.
did not originate from the apes, so there's like this hatred on part of the humans. Like they see the apes as being the reason that all of their family is dead.
yeah.
So that's why they don't necessarily learn from the apes. My thing is also like, what about solar power? Are you telling me all the solar panels also disintegrated with the virus because
No,
we
I
don't have?
don't. Johanna, I don't think that's it. I mean, it's that everybody who probably knew how to operate those things died, right? A lot of those people died. I mean, the survival rate was 1 in 500. So
But
Well,
there was a
damn,
I
lot of
mean,
find a
knowledge.
manual. I mean, there's got to be a manual out there
Yeah.
telling you how to.
and
How
also
to
Dude, Malik, if I gave you a manual on how to operate the dam, dude, I mean, how long is it gonna take you to learn how to do it? I mean, it takes years of training for that stuff by someone who knows how to do it. It's hard to like just walk in there and figure that kind of stuff out.
but
Again, I'm
with
not trying to
solar
defend the
panels,
validity of a Planet of the Apes movie, but
but with solar panels, like homeowners install them themselves. Like
hmm
they have a basic concept of it. I guess my whole thing was like this movie was very anti-alternative energy. It's kind of like we don't have nuclear power. We got to get hydroelectric power.
yeah, and
Which
and that's exactly what I'm talking about, Johanna. Like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no 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 I was
Because I mean, I'm thinking to myself that we are in. I don't know when these. I don't know if they've ever indicated exactly what year, if it's supposed to be present day or an older time where it's coming from. But they never indicate the time frame that we're dealing with. And with so many advancements that we've made as a society in terms of utilizing alternative energy solutions, you would think that at the very least, look. I mean, I haven't done the numbers yet. So if we look at a population of the Earth's population of close to 7 billion people, and we extrapolate how much 1 in 500 would leave a population of 7 billion people, I would think that the vast majority of the population that would be left over would be able to come up with some sort of other method or mode of establishing power or survival. I mean, I'm just thinking, Joe. I'm just thinking from the standpoint of
hmm
survival techniques,
like
right? For 10 years, they've had to last in
well,
in
they
this in
survived. They
this
were
situation.
surviving using fuel, right? They was using fuel for
Right,
power like generators. That's
right,
what they
and
were doing.
and that's what I mean. So once the fuel's gone, it's like it's kind of like not having a backup to your backup, right? So you have the fuel, and now your backup was creating a dam to generate hydroelectric power, which sounds really good, but maybe you should have thought about that during the 10 years you were using the damn fuel, right? So that you figured that when the fuel went out, we had the hydroelectric power to back it up, rather than starting to think about that shit after the fuel
Well,
no longer
I
gone.
mean, they kind of let you know in the movie that they had been the city had been running on nuclear power before everything went to hell, right? So the hydroelectric power wasn't going to work until they rewired the city for it to work. So they give you like a brief like 2 minute explanation, right? Saying, now we need this hydroelectric power. We've already we rewired the city to receive power from the dam. So I don't know how long that takes. That could have taken years. I have no idea. And then with I believe it was like 2 to 3 weeks left of fuel they had. They had to hurry up and get up to the dam and uh, and get that dam working, or restore the dam and get that working.
you
And
know
that's when they run into the apes. So
also though, because they're talking about working off diesel generators. There are ways of running things off of diesel that's made out of cooking oil. My whole point being that it was very anti-alternative energy. There were other things they could have done. They could have, created diesel out of cooking oil. I've seen it done. It was done at my college. There was a car that was running on cooking oil. This is not something I'm
Crisco,
making up.
your car running on Crisco?
I think it was running off,
What you use in that car? Unleaded? Nah, Crisco.
Crisco. I think they actually use the rendered stuff that comes. You know how they, in kitchens, there's like a truck that comes and they put a pipe in there and they get all the fat out from all the rendered fat.
Yeah, I've been seeing the documentary where they ran a car off of cooking oil or something like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they can. Yeah, fat can run the world.
Yeah, my whole point is that I think that there was an opportunity there to say, maybe we don't have to fight these ultra smart apes in order to get the power up and running. Maybe we should just freaking move on and go find another. It's not like the world has been taken over. I mean, it's not like the world has not been taken over yet. The zombie apocalypse hasn't happened or anything like that. Like you are not in any danger of dying off or anything like that. You've already pretty much survived the worst of it because you've made it past the whole simian flu situation. Why get into a fight with these apes? Why not just say, you know what, shit ain't gonna work. Let's move on and figure out.
Technically, they didn't want to get into a fight with the apes. They worked out a truce. It was Koba, the traitor ape. He's the one that started this whole thing. Not the humans.
It was Koba and Kirk Acevedo too, though, because Kirk Acevedo brought a gun, and
he did, but
Caesar said no guns.
Caesar even let that go. He let it go.
That's true. That's a good point.
They put Kirk Acevedo in the truck and was like, dude, you stay here the rest of the trip. That's it. You're not allowed back at the Ape City. And then, everything was cool. And then Koba got in his head, you can't trust humans. And he went out there and he killed some humans in San Francisco. Then he came back with a bunch of guns. And then he attempts to assassinate Caesar the Great.
Yeah.
And he started it, Koba.
But you know what? That doesn't excuse the fact that the humans were lazy assholes in this. Like, they were just kind of sitting around.
It's apocalyptic. I mean, it's dystopian, right? I mean, they have nothing. I mean, I could say the same thing about The Walking Dead. I could say it about Divergent. I could say it about any of those movies that take place or Hunger Games. I mean, they don't got anything in those towns. I mean.
Well, I wouldn't say The Walking Dead. I think The Walking Dead is probably the one that we can't say, only because what happens in The Walking Dead literally happens like on a Monday, right? You wake up and all of a sudden the people are eating each other, right? So everything that happens in The Walking Dead is all in reaction to
it's reactive
to you before. It's not like there was no sense of preparation for it. I mean, the only group that probably could have known that it was coming was the CDC, and we see in the very first season what the hell they were going through and how they had no clue what the hell was happening. So and then the fact is they're
dealing with a similar thing here. You have the simian flu that's wiping out the human race, again, and now you barely have any humans left.
But that's the thing. Though. That's the thing about it is that the simian flu is wiping out the human race. That is true. But once these people have literally gotten past that, it's been 10 years. And what I'm saying is in those 10 years since having to have dealt with this whole simian flu issue, you would have thought that at some point in time within those 10 years, we would have been able to establish some kind of way to, we're not scrambling for alternative power solutions. In the way that Johanna's saying, it shouldn't have created this situation where we were fighting to just keep our lights on or to just keep our power. Like this, we should have come up with, in those 10 years, we should have come up with some method of survival that didn't require us to get to this point where we're so desperate and we're fighting just literally to stay alive, right?
But
that's
what?
The thing I'm concerned with.
But you know what? That's totally realistic. Look at climate change. We know exactly what climate change is going to do 100 years or even less than 100 years from now. People don't fucking care. People don't fucking care. We're all guilty of it.
I think that most people don't care because most people feel like I'll be dead before it happens, right? So it's more or less like, that's not for my generation to worry about.
Flu's going around, you're like, I'm going to die before, you don't make preparations. And the people with the knowledge, a lot of them could be gone. I mean, I don't know. I'm over here trying to defend these dumb people in Dawn of the Apes.
But I mean, at the very least, and the last thing I'll say on it is at the very least, Johanna, to your point, at least there are groups out there that are looking at the issues, looking at the problems, and trying to find some method of saying, okay, maybe if we cut back on this, maybe if we become a more green society or something along those lines, in 2014, it will help generations in the next 100 years. Now it's all a bunch of crock of shit unless we keep it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
We expand, but at the very least we're talking about it, we're thinking about it, we're discussing it, and even if it's 100 years down the road, you'd like to believe that at some point in time we could come up with something to say, all right, we're not going to be caught out in the shit in the year 3014. People are not just going to wake up one day and go, holy crap, it's been raining for 100 days. They're not going to be like that. They're going to be like, yeah, we were kind of preparing for this, kind of knew it was happening. I remember a movie, I don't know if you guys have seen it, called 2012 with
Yeah,
what's his name?
John Cusack.
John Cusack, where the polarized caps finally gave way. There was all the water comes down. Was it the water? What was 2012 again? I can't remember what the big.
Well, it was the volcano. It was like a bunch of things
Yeah, it
happening.
was a bunch of things happening.
The ground was splitting.
Well, my whole point was that towards the middle of that movie, you found out that all these nations had come together and built those huge ships, which
Yeah.
could carry X amount of people or whatever. So at the very least, it was a horribly, horribly thought out. It was a great plan that was horribly thought out, and it wound up, killing millions of people in the process. But at the very least, it was a plan, right? So it feels like the Planet of the Apes stuff. They didn't have a plan. It just kind of was like, oh, we're going to just do this until it fails. And then we're going to figure something else out after it's failed. So.
And oh crap, apes. What do we do now?
There's smart apes over here. Let's just kill them all and wipe them out. Like, it just seems like, and this is coming from somebody that has not seen the movie. So I'm going to, that all said, I'm going to try to go into it with an open mind. But
we'll see how you feel after.
Yeah, and I'll definitely give you guys my full take after it. Well, thank you guys for giving your reviews. I mean, it looks like from the amount of money that it made over the course of the weekend and from all of the reviews, there's a lot. Everybody's really enjoying this and feels like and kind of agrees with you guys as far as the special feeling that you get watching this film, and that it is one of the better movies of the summer.
Oh, also one more thing.
Yeah.
I did look up the director.
Yes.
His name is Matt Reeves. He did not direct the one before, but he is going to direct unnamed Planet of the Apes sequel, which is slated to be released in 2016.
Great. So more melodramatic ape shit going on.
Epic.
And epic battles. I can't wait. So along with this big movie opening, which is interesting because it was the only movie opening of the weekend, or big time movie opening of the weekend in the summer release time. But along with this movie opening, we had a couple of television openings, new seasons, and brand new shows opening up. So one of the new shows is a show that we discussed last week, very comically, I will say. And Johanna has seen the first episode of Masters of Sex, Season 2, on Showtime, right?
Yes, it's on Showtime.
Okay, so Johanna is going to give us a great review of the first episode, tell us a little bit about the characters, what's going on, and then, as requested, Johanna's going to give us a blow-by-blow of at least one of the sex scenes that happened in this show. She's going to give us a quick blow-by-blow. She's going to give us everything, ins and outs. We're gonna go all the way low morals on this one. Okay, as far as low morals allow us to go on Showtime.
Going into NC-17 territory, you guys. Like I'm
gonna have to put E for explicit now.
On Event Horizon right here. Like seriously.
It all depends on how low can you go. Can you go down low? Can you go to the flow? For Johanna, Masters of Sex, tell us about it.
Okay, so where do I begin? So, I feel like a lot happened. I just watched it, so I gotta regroup myself. So I think the big news here is the fact that, like I said in the last episode, there was kind of like this Masters comes to Johnson's house and he says, I can't live without you, and she doesn't say anything, and you assume, oh, sex is on, maybe. Um, so in the show, they do end up having hot, passionate sex. It's the only sex scene in that episode. Well, the only sex scene that is successful in on the show. So they do that, and it's told like in these weird flashbacks where like her boyfriend proposed to her, and he calls her, and she says no, that she's not going to marry him because of science, literally because of science. And then the other.
Sorry to laugh. That was that. We'll marry you because of science.
No, she was like, it's the work. She's like, I have to do the works, and he's like, it's masters, isn't it? And she's like, no, it's the work, it's science. So, after she's had this hot sex with masters.
Of course.
The other two big storylines are, and I will summarize them and then go into bigger detail. One is Masters is an incredible asshole, and two is electroshock therapy does not cure being gay. So
it doesn't?
Apparently it does not.
Oh.
No. Who would have known? So I don't think I talked about Barton in my summary last episode. Barton is the provost of the university where the hospital is that Masters used to be at, and he's gay, and he's been having an affair with this rent boy, and his wife doesn't know until finally like this prostitute like tells her, like she's describing what he's like, and the prostitute is like, honey, he's gay. Because he won't touch her. They haven't had sex in years. So he decides, like, once she finds out and she tells him that she knows, he's like, I want to make our marriage better. I'm going to cure my homosexuality. So this is the 50s. There's all sorts of these fucked up things they do to people, like electroshock therapy and kind of like torture stuff, like, like if he gets an erection from looking at like a naked guy, like they do something to his penis or something. So that's kind of how we close out with his character. It's like Masters is like, that's bullshit. You can't cure being gay, and you're going to hurt yourself. And his wife pretty much saying the same thing. But he goes through with the electroshock therapy anyway in this episode, and he tries unsuccessfully to have sex with his wife. Like he looks at pictures of dudes because the electroshock therapy, surprise, does not make him like not like dudes anymore. And then he goes to his wife. This is not the one I'll do a blow by blow on.
Yeah, please don't. Please.
Because he forces himself on her, and she's like, she knows he's not feeling it. And he gets upset. He's like, you need to help me out here. She's like, what do you mean, like, help you out here? So he tries to kill himself in the episode because he can't deal with the fact that this electroshock therapy was supposed to work, and it didn't. And in fact, it kind of made him like lose his memory. We've all seen Homeland. We know how this works, right? So the electroshock therapy.
So he doesn't want to be gay.
No, he doesn't want to be gay. No.
Okay. All right. No. And it's interesting. This show takes place in the 50s, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it around that? And I don't know. I don't know if I'm losing touch with my history a little bit. But wasn't it? I don't know what time frame it was where being gay was looked at as being like a disease. And so they were actually, I remember hearing about in something in the past where if you were thought as being gay, like they would actually hospitalize you and like run all these tests similar to what they're talking about. And I know you said this was based on a true story, so I find this interesting that that they kind of touch on this subject.
Yeah. Actually, I think, homosexuality was not taken out of the DSM, like the Diagnostic Manual of Psychiatric Disorders, until, God, like I want to say like the 80s or even the 90s. It was still in the DSM as being like a condition. So in the 50s, yes, this guy is like rich, so he doesn't get hospitalized necessarily, but there are
Hmm.
all these treatments that he wants to have done, and his wife is just like, what in the actual fuck?
Alternative methods. Yeah.
Yeah, like even the wife is like, no, this isn't what I want. At one point in this failed sex attempt, she's like, you have made me not feel like a woman for so long, and I have this tiny shred of feeling like a woman. Please do not take it away from me. Because in the first season, she has sex with this extremely handsome blonde doctor. He looks like Alexander Skarsgård. Um, and so like that's like her big thing, that's kind of keeping her holding on to her womanhood. So that's him. Then there's Masters is an incredible asshole. His wife just had a baby. He has child and daddy issues. And he's left alone with the baby, and the baby is crying. The baby cries for like 2 hours, and he does not go in, and nothing. Like nothing. His mom comes in and she's like, what the fuck? The kid's crying. And he's like, I can't deal with this. Like, you fucked me up. My dad fucked me up. Oh, and by the way, I'm fucking Virginia as well. Like, I'm cheating on my wife, and I'm going to keep cheating on my wife. And
So
at
this is
that,
the moment he decides to tell her?
he tells his mom. He doesn't tell his
Oh,
wife.
okay. Okay, okay.
And you're thinking, what's going to stop her from telling his wife? Well,
Right.
he ships her back to where she came from. And there is no longer, Masters' mom is no longer in the picture. And you're just like, wow, you are just like the biggest incredible asshole. You let your child cry and you send your mom away because like you have like these issues with her and you can't talk about them.
Hmm.
So in the middle of all of that, I don't know if this is him being an absolute asshole. It is kind of. He makes a deal with like the Peanut King. It's this guy who has a peanut factory who marries this prostitute that like used to work with Masters. And they make some sort of deal, and you don't really know what the deal is. You just know it involves a lot of money, or the hope that his study will generate a lot of money. So they're at dinner, him and the Peanut King and like the doctor that he's going to be working under, and it's revealed that it's his study that they're going to do. He's not just going back to like do gynecology, like he's doing the study, and it really upsets his wife. Because she probably has an inkling that there's something, going. Like she's like, is Virginia going with you? And he's like, yeah, like she's really interested in dun dun the work.
Mm.
So we finally find out at the end, like if they're actually like having an affair, because it's not clear throughout the show, and the promos make it seem like they are having a straight up affair. So I'm sure you guys can guess. They decide that they're doing it for science. So
Oh
she's,
man,
Nice.
science is awesome, man.
but
Science
it's
is
Yeah.
great.
it's
You gotta
angsty
study
science though.
hard. Study real hard.
It's angsty science though, you guys, because she's like, we can't just have an affair. Like we're too good for the affair. Like what we have is we have the work, and that's more important than an affair. And I get like, what are you talking about? And then he says, yeah, I wouldn't want you to get the wrong impression, that I'm leading you on, and I didn't really mean all that stuff I said on the steps in front of your house. And they're like, okay, so we're doing this for science. And then they check into a hotel room. Science.
And do they have their clipboards out? Do they actually have any ideas about possibly, documenting any of this information that they're going to be getting from the sexual experience?
I guess we're gonna find out. I mean, like he's starting his study again, so he doesn't really need to do it with his assistant anymore.
Hmm.
So I don't know what this means in terms of for science, but again, they're doing it for science. We're
Yeah,
not
I mean,
having an affair.
absolutely not. We're justifying it by saying we're doing this for science. You know what? I think we need to go to a science expert. I think Johanna. I think you need to get out on the boards and get in touch with Uncle Neil. Uncle Neil needs to weigh in on this. Okay, sex for science. I honestly think Cosmos is awesome, but I think Cosmos would be so much better if
The
we did a
cosmos
sex
of
for, if we
sex.
did a sex for science episode of Cosmos,
God.
I think we could go there with it. I mean, I know you and Sharif might not be too crazy about it because it would take it completely away from what it's supposed to be about and everything.
I know.
Uncle Neil, look, I think we need to talk to Uncle Neil and get a discussion going and find out what he feels about this whole sex for science thing. I think
I
we could definitely go that route.
I think I should just send him the episode and be like, so Neil, what do you think about this? It's for science, so I need your advice about these fictional characters. Is what they're doing for science, or are they just really deluding themselves?
Just make sure he realizes you're not prepositioning him, okay?
Me, proposition Uncle
Just
Neil?
make sure.
Never.
Put it in ways he'd understand. Say, I want to take this rocket ship and I want to dock it. I want to dock it somewhere, but I want to pull the rocket ship out, and then I want to put the rocket ship back in.
It's gonna redock.
I need to undock and redock, a bunch of times, and then the capsule will come off, right?
Wow.
Just
I don't
put
think
it in
I want the
words
capsule
that-
to come out. That sounds painful.
You know what I mean?
Sounds painful.
The
I think you mean rocket fuel.
final ejection, right? So, when it's gonna go into the atmosphere, So, put in those terms, and I'm sure Uncle Neil will get it.
He'll figure it out. I mean, I don't think he's a smart guy. It's not going to take him much, but I do think we need an expert here to weigh in on this sex for science thing, because clearly I've been using the wrong excuses for a long time.
Yeah.
It's for science, baby.
All I have to say is
That's what we're doing. We're just
it's
researching.
science. Just write a little paragraph afterwards about how you felt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So take us through the hotel.
Oh no.
Masters and his assistant. Take us as far as you can go. I mean, I'm sure if I was watching this show, I could probably go into even more detail. But now, but take us as far as Johanna can take us.
Oh my God! I can take it really far, you guys.
Well, take us as far as you
And
want.
Lorenzo's not here to be disgusted, as he usually is.
Take us as far as you'd like to take us. How about that?
So she takes off his clothes, and it makes it seem like she's just trying to get him out of his wet clothes. You guys have seen Coming to America, right? Where she's
Yes.
like, first we have to get you out of these wet clothes. That's basically what this is. And then you think he's gonna kiss her passionately, but instead he hugs her like she's like a piece of driftwood, and he's Kate Winslet in Titanic. And so then all of a sudden her clothes are coming off, and he's trying to get all up on it, and it seems like he's going to go down on her, but he doesn't, because this is the 50s and science. I don't know where cunnilingus comes into science.
Clearly not until the 60s.
Yeah, maybe 60s, 70s, maybe, who knows.
So we can start exploring that part.
So then he still has half of his clothes on, his underclothes on, and she's naked, and I think he's doing a reach around. That's what it seems like. And then he's on top because, again, 50s and science, and they're getting really into it. He's getting all violent, and then at one point he takes both of his hands over her arms and just pins her on the bed.
Okay, so this is the experimental part.
Yeah.
This is clearly him experimenting and trying new things so that he can document his research.
It's baby bondage.
Are they
bondage.
filming this? Are they filming this at all?
This is in her apartment, which is why at the end of the thing he's like, what happened in the apartment? Because he's still I think he was still, before he was I'm happily married, blah blah. He was still thinking he was gonna get into her pants in a non-sciencey way, because he's what happened at the apartment felt different, and she's that's because we didn't have wires on. So I don't know if I answered your question. I'm getting kind of distracted now.
We can get back into the wires later. Are they gonna be doing it in the air, or is this recording wires, or hanging wires, like a circus?
I don't think that there was nothing being recorded. And the only person who's gotten recorded so far, well, two people. One is inside the vagina of one of the women, using that probe thing, and then Virginia, from the neck down, except that Masters took the video, so there's one point where like you can see her face like when she orgasms.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, because he's so weird. He can't just come out and say things. He has to like skirt around them and expect. And when the other person tries to say something, he's like, nope.
So he's up the skirts and he's skirting around issues. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that was non-sciencey sex, so I don't know how they explain that at all.
So, long story short, was this episode enough to keep you completely entranced, ready for the entire season, or you have to wait and see how more of it develops?
I'm gonna give episode 2 a try. I think that it was kind of like a bait and switch that they were saying, oh, this is going to be the start of an affair. And so you're thinking lots of hot, non-sciencey sex? Like, come on. And it wasn't. It was just like one sex scene and then them deciding that it was for science. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I am interested in seeing what non-affair, sciencey sex with people who are into each other looks like and what they're doing in the hotel room.
So we will be watching the next episode and seeing where this goes, and seeing if we can get Johanna's vulgarity to reach other levels.
So what was my vulgarity level now? What was my vulgarity level?
This is very tame. This is
Joe
tame.
and I, I think Joe and I will have to converse. We will come back next week and give you our grade on a 1 through 10 scale. And then we will see if you can match it or beat it in next week's episode.
It was my first try, you guys.
Exactly.
It's my first try.
By episode 9, we should be getting some really epic breakdowns. Things worthy of the fans that are listening to this podcast to start like turning off the lights when Johanna's getting ready to start. Turn the music really low. Cuddle up next to your loved one because Johanna's getting ready to go in on Masters of Sex. Well, Joe, I don't know how you can top this. But you did actually.
Try.
Because clearly, your show didn't come on Showtime, and it's clearly not about the science of sex.
It's about science,
It's about science in a completely different way. So with you were able to watch FX's new thriller, The Strain. So tell us some stuff about The Strain that we saw. This is a brand new show, correct?
Brand new, episode 1. It premiered yesterday on FX, and the show is produced by Guillermo del Toro. Everybody knows him.
Oh yeah.
And it needs no introduction. And Carlton Cuse is involved as well, so he's from Lost fame, right? So the show, just to say right off the bat, the show I think so far was excellent. Basically, it's about a plane that lands at JFK. It's coming from Germany, and it just mysteriously lands at JFK in the section of the airport where planes are not supposed to be. The plane is shut off. All the blinds are drawn down, with the exception of one, and the plane is actually cold. So you would think the plane just landed; it should be warm, but it is cold. So they freak out at JFK, and they call the CDC, and they come, and the head guy, the head doctor that's working on this case is played by Corey Stoll. You may remember him. He was just recently in the movie Non-Stop with Liam Neeson, which also took place on a plane. And he played the bald-headed cop on I can't remember his character's name in the movie, but he played the bald-headed cop in Non-Stop. Here he's playing Dr. Ephraim Goodweather, and he's the New York City CDC head. So, Malik, you just threw me off, Malik, with this camera thing. Anyway.
Malik, are you taking pictures?
No, I didn't know. Am I? I accidentally pressed something. Sorry.
No problem. Technical difficulties. Okay, anyway. So, we have Corey Stoll in here as Dr. Ephraim Goodweather, who's going to try to solve this case. Also, we have Sean Astin, is known from Lord of the Rings fame. Who played Samwise.
Sam.
In
Okay.
who played Sam in Lord of the Rings. So he's in it. He's playing the like the doctor's right hand. He's playing Dr. Ephraim Goodweather's right hand man. And then we have Mia Maestro, who, if you guys, I don't know if you guys watched Alias, but she was Sidney Bristow's sister in Alias, Nadia Santos. So I don't know if you guys remember that, but was glad to see she was in it. And she's playing Dr. Nora Martinez, and Sean Astin is playing. Let me bring it up. I have it here. Jim Kent. He's also he's not really a doctor, but he takes care of all the preparation and stuff for them. So basically, what happened is when they finally get on the plane, they notice that everybody's dead, with the exception of 4 survivors, the pilot being one of them. Initially, they all look dead, they all unconscious. Then 4 of them wake up. They're definitely infected with something. You don't know what it is because they just don't look right. And then all the other ones are like, they look kind of drained and just dead on the plane, like they didn't even know what hit them. So they get all the bodies. They take all the dead bodies and bring them over to like this big warehouse to undergo further examination. And then the other 4, as you can guess, are put into quarantine so they can be tested as well. So all in all, while they're testing these the survivors and the dead, they go through the plane manifest and the cargo hold of the plane, and they find this 9-foot what do you call it, casket filled with soil, and in that soil are like little worms, or like they look like strains. That's why it's called the strain. Mm-hmm. They're like these little worm things are inside there. And once they get in you, they take over your body like a virus or whatever. They really haven't got far into it because there's this. Never mind the strains that were in that tomb, but the actual person that was in there, or the thing that was in there, which actually attacked everyone on the plane, is like this creature that's like, he's like 8 feet tall. And he got like a tentacle that comes out and sucks, that sticks right into your carotid artery and sucks all the blood out of you, leaving you bone dry. So that thing is loose in the airport, and it can like fly around and moves really fast. And it's just going around the airport right now. They haven't. By the end of the first episode, you don't know where the thing is. All you know is that it was able to get that 9-foot casket. What's another name for a casket?
Sarcophagus.
Coffin. Get that 9-foot coffin, which is like, and it's also very wide, or high. I mean, the thing was huge. It had like a lot of like, not hieroglyphics, but a lot of drawing on it, like carvings into the coffin. Yeah, that thing picked it up and took it right out of the airport, like with lightning speed. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice mystery. It's pretty good. I definitely recommend that everybody, at least give it a try, because I think based on this first episode, which was actually an hour and 7 minutes long, so I guess it took up 90 minutes on the FX channel last night. I'm not sure, but yeah, it looks like it can be. If you guys ever watched Helix, I know Malik, you did. Johanna, yep. I don't think you watched Helix.
I haven't watched that.
If you like Helix, I think you'll like the strain. Where Helix was more confined to a laboratory in the Arctic. This strain is going to impact all of New York. And the surprise twist at the end of the episode is that all the dead people from the airplane suddenly wake up.
Ooh.
And they are hungry. They are hungry. And so it has a Walking Dead feel to it. So
Yeah,
these
man.
people are being controlled by the virus within them, or the strain rather. They look like little skinny worm spaghetti looking things that feast on blood. There's one other character that I haven't mentioned, which is an old man who who has faced this thing before, and he goes to the airport and he tries to warn or tell warn the doctors that, hey, I faced this before. This is what's going to happen. You need to let me go find it and kill it. Uh, he walks in with a cane, with a sword disguised as a cane, or a sword inside his cane, which he was going to use to kill this creature. Um, and he lets them know. He says, as long as you have the coffin, you can control the creature. But then they lose the coffin, so now clearly they're not going to be able to control the creature. So I think I think we're in a good ride this summer with this show. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. Let me check. Let's see. Just want to see how long the season's going to be. I hope it's like 10 to 12 episodes.
Well, it's
But
it's an FX show, so it's probably like 10, probably like 12 episodes long.
yeah, I hope it doesn't. I mean, I guess I have to see the way the season progresses. These kind of things I don't like to see last more than 2 seasons. Um, you know what I mean? I just
Hmm.
think it can get tiring. Um, but let me see. Yeah, 13 episodes. So this show's gonna go all the way into October.
Oh.
Um, so we have 13 episodes, one a week, every week till October.
Well, that's good.
So yeah.
So
Uh,
the only thing I will say about this is, it wasn't bad enough. The Germans had to beat us in the World Cup. Now they got to send us a freaking strain and all these damn, dead people in a plane and everything like that. Like, seriously, come on,
What's
come
so
on,
funny
man.
is me and Maestro is from Argentina.
Wow, wow. So we know who's gonna win this battle.
Yeah, she's from Argentina, and her character is not her. The actress herself is from Argentina, and she's got to deal with this German virus. And then overlooking this whole thing, there's this, there's always like a big company man behind this kind of stuff.
Of
So, or
course.
some evil mastermind. Um, so there is an evil mastermind behind all this, and he has the strain in him. Because the strain, what they're counting on is they release the strain in New York, people get infected, and what they do is the people on the plane, what they're counting on is the people on the plane are going to wake up and then they're going to go home. They're going to go back to what they remember. They'll go home and then they're going to infect the ones that they love. Because love is the most powerful thing in the world, and it will cause them to go back to what they know. And then because these people love like there's a daughter who's infected and the father who's yearning for his daughter. When he sees her, he doesn't see a zombie or what an infected person would look like. He just sees his daughter and he goes and hugs her right away. So he's gonna get infected, and then it's
Hmm.
gonna be a similar outcome for all those people who return back to their homes and to see their loved ones. So the virus is gonna spread rather quickly. Um, so yeah, I expect to see some zombies walking through New York, or what is supposed to be New York, um, this entire summer.
So one of the things about this show that that I don't know, if any of our listeners are from the New York City area or have seen any buses in their neighborhoods and their areas recently. The opening image that has been basically, plastered everywhere with reference to this show has this picture. And Johanna, I don't know if you've seen it. I'll
I've
send you a
seen
link
it.
to it. It
It's
has this picture of this woman. I guess she's being examined by this doctor with the gloves on, and he's opening up the eye, and you see like the strain, I guess is what this thing is. It looks like a
Mm-hmm.
worm, like coming out of the eye. Is this scene that I thought that this was an extremely disturbing one, but also
yes.
very compelling. If you in any way, shape, or form have if you're not too queasy and you can see this, it almost makes you want to see this show. Like you have to see what the hell is going on to force this type of situation to happen.
Mm.
Joe, do you at any point in the show do they show this scene? Is this a scene that they actually kind of touch
Um,
on, or do you ever actually get to see how these things interact with the body or anything like that?
well, you see them enter in somebody. You don't see them go through the eye or come out the
Mhm.
eye, at least not yet.
Mhm.
But they do enter the doctor. One of the doctors, the doctor that's examining the dead bodies, he
Mhm.
pulls out a heart and he puts it and he weighs it in on the scale, and then he hears some noise. He walks away, and then he comes back and he sees the heart like moving, like pumping up and up, and then when he goes to he picks up the heart, and then all the strains come out of the heart, and
Oh
then
wow.
they start going into him. So he he grabs like this I guess a clips or whatever, a clasp. He grabs it and he starts pulling the strains out of his hand, and he gets them all out. He tosses them on the floor of all places. He throws them on the floor, and then he starts hearing more noise, and then all of a sudden he's got his back, and then so the way the camera is the camera's looking at him from the front, and then with his back turned, all the dead people are like behind him now, and he doesn't know. So after he successfully gets the strain out of his hand and throws it on the floor, he turns around and he sees all the dead people there. And then, of course, you know what happens next. The dead people are hungry, so they attack the poor doctor,
Oh.
Ugh.
and he becomes food. So the strains feed on blood. That's what they're looking for, um, which is shown earlier in the episode by the old man I was telling you about before, who wants to kill this thing. He keeps them. He has one as a pet. I'm sure he has like a heart in a glass jar, and I'm sure it was probably someone close to him. They haven't explained it yet, but I'm sure it was from someone that was close to him, or maybe it was from the other thing he killed, earlier, um, early in his life. But
Mhm.
how? So they show him feeding the strain. So what he would do is he cut his finger off, put a few drops of blood in the water, and the strains would come out, and they start eating the blood. It was really
Mm.
creepy,
Mm.
Sounds
but
very creepy but awesome.
you guys should check it out. I think you would enjoy it. It was
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
Yeah, I
I'm
definitely.
looking
think
forward to next Sunday's episode.
I mean, it sounds like it's bringing exactly what you would think Guillermo del Toro would bring, and that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't put any chicka want want music to it. I can't really do all that stuff like you do, Yana, or Masters of Sex, because these people are dying. People are dying over here,
Death porn.
getting
Death
eaten
porn.
up by a strain. You
Well,
know,
look, at
I
least
can't.
Del
I can't.
Toro. I said at least Del Toro has, for the time being, given up on the big monsters versus big robots on the big screen and decided to go more in his thriller realm, which seems to be more his cup of tea,
Oh yeah.
his way of doing things. And so I'm happy
Well,
that
he
he's going down this route.
yeah. Well, he directed 3 of the episodes.
Hmm.
Based on what I see on IMDb, he directed 3 of the episodes. So, yeah, it's probably like a little, break for him directing a TV show as opposed to trying to
Yeah.
direct a big budget movie. So, yeah, guys
Okay.
should check it out.
Well, we will. We definitely
Definitely
will.
check
Sweet.
it out before next Sunday.
Two very
So,
good shows.
I
Two
think you
very good
guys will like it.
shows. The two very good shows that are just kicking off. So uh, next week we looks like we'll have some more reviews of more dead, strainy things going on in New York City and more sex. So I don't know. I think next week what we'll do is we'll start with Joe and the death and destruction and the nastiness of that, and then we'll figure out a way to segue into Johanna and the bomb chicka want want sex scenes in Masters of
Yeah.
Sex. I think we should end it on that happy note, rather than the note that we're ending it on tonight. So
Like Masterpiece Sex Theater. Like I
I'll
should be
make-
sitting with a smoking jacket and a pipe, talking about describing these sex scenes.
And the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to ruin this show for you, Johannes. I don't want you to start sitting there watching this and be like, okay, pause it. I have to go get my pen and break down the sex scene. I can't watch the show until then.
Well, you know what the thing is, Johanna is a writer, so she could as she's seeing it, she could craft it with words.
That's true.
And give it to us in a way that masters just can't do. You know how you say sometimes the book is better than the movie. Maybe you could write something that's better than the scene, right?
And then Johanna, it's for science. I mean,
it's for science.
It's for science. You're doing this for science. You're giving us this overview for science, and we're taking it and you're sharing it with the world, and it's all for science. I think Uncle Neil would be proud.
Wait, Uncle Neil is going to be proud of what?
He'll be proud of your review, of your Masters of Sex review.
Dude, that's a lot to live up to. Like, the next one's really going to have to be good and filthy. Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Well, that said, I think we're going to finish the show up tonight. Joe, Johanna, thanks again for giving us those reviews and talking Planet of the Apes, that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, along with Masters of Sex and the Strain. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us today as much as we enjoyed giving you another great show. Tune in later this week as our next Agents of Helm episode will be moderated by the absent Lorenzo. Hopefully he will be able to join us and give us his rundown of another exciting episode of Agents of Helm. So without further ado, for Joe, Johanna, I am Malik. We are the Agents of Helm. Have a great night. See you later. Peace.
Night.
Are you feeling randy, baby? Later.